convicted felon title for President-elect Donald Trump. He was sentenced on Friday in the payment case to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Now, he didn't get any jail time. He didn't get any fine, but his conviction stands and was put into place by Judge Juan Marchand, who we know is a compromised person. So is this it then? Will he now just let it lie now that he can take office? He doesn't need to fight this any longer. You have to have the appetite to continue for litigation. There are things he won't be able to do, like own a gun. Well, Lionel joins us from the Lionel Nation YouTube channel. He's a prosecutor and a constitutionalist. Lionel, you've been screaming all along, there's no crime, where's the crime? What you mean by this is he was charged with a payment to hide a crime, but he was never told what that crime was. The judge actually denied his legal team the bill of particulars when he tried to prepare his defense. He didn't even get to know the crime until the day before the trial. The jury didn't have to agree on those crimes. So can you explain why the Sixth Amendment should have been honored here and never was? What does that mean for the rest of us? We can be charged with things we don't know. Can you explain that? And then we'll talk about what could happen next.
No, I can't explain it. First, a couple of things. You splendidly, absolutely, perfectly described this. There's a couple of things. Every now and then, we will have in the criminal justice system kind of weird dispositions, diversion programs, first-time offenders. Let's kind of suspend it, go to some drug and alcohol counseling, and we'll dismiss. So it's kind of like we'll dismiss it. It's like a diversion. When I was a prosecutor, we had a thing called absentee without a hold. I still don't know what that means. We had a thing called double secret probation. Honestly, one time a judge said, "I don't want you two to stop it." And I don't know what happened to the case. I still don't know. Very rare. But the idea is that we wanted justice. But in a case of this note, we don't even know what it was and how this jury found immediately. They found him guilty. 34 counts. Not even a split. Not even on count 12, we're not sure. That one boggles my mind. Here's the interesting thing that happened. When Judge Marchand decided to signal to the world, I'm kind of leaning towards not having any kind of a sentence. I'm kind of maybe going to go no, whatever it is. I'm going to. That almost told the Supreme Court, oh, okay, well, then we're going to deny any kind of an appeal now because you're signaling to us that this really isn't a big deal. If he faced prison or something, maybe we would take this case up. But since you kind of gave us the high sign, like, don't worry about it. The Supreme Court said, listen, we're not going to intervene. You can handle this best at an appeal. That locked Marchand in. That basically said, now I've got to do this, because had he double-crossed the Supremes and said, aha, booga booga, jail or prison, they would have gone nuts. So that's the weirdest thing, too. First things, judges don't signal what they're going to do. Sometimes there are hints, pre-trial, pre-sentence investigations and things that the probation office files that they might suggest. But that's a different case. So number one, the most interesting thing was Marchand said, the judge, I ain't going to be doing anything. Okay. Supreme Court said, why intervene now? Okay, that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, what he's going to do is, and this is the funny part, he cannot be vindicated unless he is convicted. Now let's ask you this, or ask this question. Was he convicted? Here is the worst word you ever want to hear any lawyer say. Technically, stop. Life is not technically. You're not technically pregnant. You're not technically dead. There is no such thing as this. But in law, it depends. Conviction is a formal finding of guilt by the court, a formal adjudication of guilt. Best example is if you get a speeding ticket, you get the points. That's a conviction. If you go to a traffic court and say, listen, If I go to traffic court, can you withhold adjudication, keep the points off my record? Then you're not convicted.
Yes.
That's like the best. It's a weird concept.
Right. Most of us drivers understand that bit. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes. You want to keep the points off, withhold, NOLO, I'll go to school, keep the points off. Okay, fine. That's
Pay the fine.
Not a conviction.
Right.
A little bit with what you said. And I like the fact that you're homing in on the notion of not knowing what it is.
Sometimes that's the scariest thing for the rest of us. The rest of us are not going to run for president and be politically persecuted, but I don't want to have to shadow box against the government that's saying there's a crime here, but you don't know what it is.
You bring up a very good point. Let's take the crime of burglary. Burglary, but what people normally they say they robbed a house. No, you rob a person, but you burglarize. You enter or remain in the building, structure, or conveyance with the intention of committing an offense therein. What offense? What was it? That's okay. That's enough. We're going to presume you were going in there to commit an offense. Well, what? So sometimes there's a little vagueness of I don't know. There's a lot of things that really aren't clear. The problem with this is they also took, and let me just, again, I keep saying I'm backing up. For the first time, we're hearing people use the word lawfare over and over. They took this guy, Colangelo, from the DOJ, demoted him to a position to be an assistant ADA in Manhattan, to come up with this crazy cockamamie thing, to apply federal law to state law. But also what they did was they had this case, which was a misdemeanor, bootstrapped up to a felony because he had to be a convicted felon. So in order for him to be a convicted felon, they took this ridiculous case that the only time it's ever been done is as a misdemeanor. They bootstrapped it, converted it into a felony, and then they're stuck with this. And they were forced to. Not only, and Alvin Bragg, the real prosecutor, had no clue as to what was going on because this was a DOJ show. And Judge Mershon, who basically was doing everything in his power to keep that, because the bottom line is this, Natalie, both Mershon and Bragg have that scalp on the wall. I'm the first person to convict, to get a conviction, and to adjudicate a president. That's all they wanted.
Lo ha dicho Mark Zuckerberg. Rusia siempre tuvo la razón. El magnate dueño de la multinacional informática Meta ha denunciado a la saliente administración de Joe Biden aparejando a una dictadura liberal. En definitiva, el multimillonario buscado por las autoridades de Moscú ha hecho temblar los cimientos de la sociedad occidental. Las revelaciones de Zuckerberg han conmocionado al mundo occidental, ya que, tal como la tenebrosa novela distópica 1984 de George Orwell, actualmente el mundo está totalmente vigilado y controlado por los entes más siniestros del mundo. ¿Quiénes son estos sujetos? Pues el dueño de Meta les dio la razón a todas las denuncias de Rusia. Estamos controlados, Meta. Mark Zuckerberg, en declaraciones al famoso bloguero estadounidense Joe Rogan, conmocionó al mundo occidental, dándole la razón a años de denuncias de Rusia por la censura de la información al reconocer las presiones de la administración de Joe Biden para vigilar y censurar la libertad de expresión. Nos presionaron muchísimo para que elimináramos cosas que honestamente eran ciertas, reveló el magnate en referencia a que la administración Biden y sus servicios de inteligencia pueden penetrar y han penetrado todas las plataformas de redes sociales que Zuckerberg dirige, por ejemplo WhatsApp, Instagram y Facebook. Alguien como la NSA u otras agencias de inteligencia pueden hackear tu teléfono, lo que probablemente todavía hacen, aseveró Zuckerberg, quien, por cierto, por las mismas razones que ahora denuncia la existencia de una suerte de gran hermano que gobierna en la Casa Blanca, es considerado como un sujeto extremista en Rusia y prohibidas sus plataformas en tal país. Es más, aseguró que, por medio del polémico programa Pegasus, los servicios de inteligencia pueden penetrar en las plataformas, inclusive algunas de las cuales la misma empresa que él comanda no pueden hacerlo, ya que la información privada de sus usuarios se encuentra totalmente encriptada. Sin dudas, Estimado suscriptor, estamos vigilados. Las declaraciones del magnate conmocionaron al mundo entero, simplemente porque la saliente administración Biden se dedicó a convertir en realidad la distópica obra del novelista británico George Orwell, 1984, la cual relata un mundo totalmente controlado, vigilado y bajo la rosada figura de un tenebroso personaje llamado Gran Hermano que lo vigila todo. El empresario tachó como brutales las presiones que recibió por parte de la administración Biden para censurar presuntas informaciones que perjudicaban la democracia estadounidense, y en específico las que hacían mostrar a Rusia como un actor que no fuera siniestro y demoníaco interesado en destruir a Estados Unidos. En pocas palabras, censurar la verdad. Siguiendo el taimado personaje, si alguien intenta infiltrarse en Meta o algunas de sus plataformas dependientes accediendo a la correspondencia, no lo conseguirá, porque todo está cifrado y allí no encontrará nada. Sin embargo, los servicios de inteligencia estadounidenses no tienen tal problema. Siendo así, la crisis hegemónica de Estados Unidos ha forzado, según las denuncias del empresario, al gobierno estadounidense, mediante sus servicios de inteligencia, a convertirse en el gran hermano, cuestión que ya había sido revelada por Edward Snowden años atrás. Por si fuera poco, las revelaciones tienen un altísimo impacto político. Profundicemos. La conmoción causada por el empresario debería hacer pensar a algunos constitucionalistas occidentales en que se basa la democracia de Estados Unidos, al menos formalmente, y comenzar el proceso de llevar ante la justicia a los responsables de introducir la vigilancia total en línea y la censura política en las plataformas de redes sociales, como lo admitió Zuckerberg. El portavoz ideológico de las élites liberales del mundo, la revista británica The Economist, ha publicado que Facebook acaba de perder drásticamente su audiencia después de la introducción de estrictas restricciones de censura, en especial en contra de Rusia. Es decir, la gente real está huyendo de la desinformación impuesta por los liberales en tales plataformas. Esto es especialmente cierto para los opositores rusos deshonestos que huyeron a Occidente y desde allí están felices de arrojar barro a su antigua patria, afirmó la prensa capitalina moscovita, haciendo énfasis en que Meta aceptó las presuntas presiones del gobierno de Washington solamente cuando se trataba de atacar a Moscú. Pero hay más, mucho más.
Pretty much everything that NBC News and the New York Times have told you about the war in Ukraine is a lie. The Russian army is incompetent, they claim. Ukraine is a democracy. Vladimir Putin is Hitler and he's trying to take over the world. Thankfully, the Ukrainians are winning. None of that is true. Every claim is false, the last one especially. The Ukrainian army is not winning. In fact, it's losing badly. Ukraine is being destroyed. Its population.
Do you feel the craziness right now?
Overwhelming, and I feel like one of my great advantages in life is I, grew up around a fair amount of craziness, and I'm not bothered by it.
Go ahead. It's the lady at 46 South Rose. 46 South Rose.
Station one call, retone that please.
10-4.
Got the floor to go to that location. This is 19, is that correct?
Sorry, one last four?
Congratulations, first of all, that President Trump has selected you as press secretary. I was stunned by that news last week, and I woke up, I said, what the hell? And I immediately knew it was a joke. Not a joke, but I don't know who started the rumor or who made